Hi, how are you? My name is Marty. I'm from the Bay Area, right here in Santa Clara County in San Jose. Sometimes my service all the way to Fremont, Hayward, or Contra Costa County, Alameda County, all the way to San Pablo. Today, I would like to talk about three biggest sellers' fears that give the seller a lot of headache when they sell their house. The first thing is the price. Now, when the seller is trying to sell his house, he usually hires a listing agent to come to his house, give him a listing presentation, and we'll find out that the price of the house usually comes from zero, comes from the realtor.com or the Redfin. Ultimately, the agent will compare the price in between the zip code, the local area, and for the same household that they have with a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, or with the amenity things like the car parking garage, as well as there are the swimming pool on the back. And that's what agents comparison with these past 30 days and or 45 days, even sometimes to 60 days, if they hardly have sales in the neighborhood for the house, and to find out the ultimate price that should be listed on the MLS, the listing service. And usually the price is a seller's biggest fear because they want to get the money and they want to be able to leave the town, leave the house for their relocation or transfer, or simply just want to sell the house for money. And so the price is very critical. You don't want to sell your house for below the market value, which you don't make money. You want to sell the house for the highest and the best. So you want to hire the agent that can help you. And so in determining of that, it comes down to many, many factors. That's when we do our second part. That is the buyer's back out. Now remember, the buyer can do all the investigation they want for the house you want to sell, and they can simply hire a licensed inspector to check out the house. If there are something that they don't like that is can fix, they will ask you to fix. That in turns will give you the lower price. Or when you're not having the money as a seller to fix all these problems, these things that items need to be repaired, then you can probably do for the credit give back to the buyer for them to repair themselves. And that's when the fees comes in for the buyer, for the seller, because where then you will not be able to sell for that much of a price you wanted. Because on top of that, you still need to pay the cost. You still need to pay agents commission. So that comes down to a lot of things. So the buyer's fear, buyer's buyer's back out can be the seller's fear. And originally, if you already have a contract signed by the buyer and you agree to sell that price, but if they back out, that means you will have to postpone your closing date, and all your plan will ultimately be changed. Let's say you are moving out to other place, then now you cannot because just because this house cannot be sold. So that is quite important. That becomes the seller's fear. And the third thing we have is a contingency. There are four main contingencies for the here. One is the appraisal contingency, which we're going to talk about. This is the biggest one in all the contingencies. Second one, that is going to be the seller's disclosure. Third one, inspection report. The fourth one is the loan contingency. When the buyer they come with the pre-approval letter come to you, usually they are, even though they got pre-approved, doesn't mean they will be final approved by the loan company or by the bank, because there are a lot of variables that the buyer need to prepare, need to send it to the bank to the bank or to the lenders for their underwriting department to do the comparison, to do evaluation, to underwrite, to make sure the buyer is qualified enough. By not only that, They want to make sure after the house sold, the buyer can continue to pay monthly payment. So this becomes very important. If the seller picks the wrong buyer, things can be happening. Things can happen during this before closing of 30 days or 45 days. Something might happen. So you got to be very, very careful. Select your buyer. Usually the highest, the best. Usually the cash buyer will be the better choice. But doesn't mean the cash buy is bad, because sometimes cash buy doesn't give you enough money price for you to pick. So there comes a lot of variables, and we know how to do that. The last thing I want to talk to you about is the appraisal. That's the third phase from this the buyer for the buyer to face, because the loan company, they are going to hire the so-called the appraisal. The appraisal is a appraiser, is a licensed appraisal person that come to your house to evaluate your house, make sure your house is in the true market value or the true value of the house. They will do 3 other houses sold right here in your same zip code to do the comparison, apple by apple. They will find out if you have a 3 bedroom, if you have a 2 bath, they will find out your square footage. And in terms of money, the square footage of a price, to find out what is, or you have an upgrade in the kitchen or upgrade in the bedroom, the bathroom, to determine how much is the value of the house. And for that, that becomes the seller's fear, because what if the appraised value is lower than the sales price that you and your buyer agree with? Then buyer, they hold this appraisal report. You don't even know. But if they know the value is much lower than the sales price, they can come back to ask you if you wanted to lower your price. Otherwise, I'm not buying, because the price is obviously too high than the appraised value. Then what do you want to do? So we know what to do, because we can either come down the price with them, meet them in the halfway, or we can just tell them that that's when we agree to buy the price, even though the appraised price is lower, but we wanted to sell us the contract price we agree with, so that the buyer has to buy from you. So that's the very important part of the appraisal. So 3 things we mentioned today. The first thing we talk about, that is the price. The second thing is the contingency. The third thing is a buyer's back out. This will happen to make a seller, to give seller a lot of headaches. Therefore, that's what we do today, and that's the 3 biggest the seller's fears.